welcome to another Guardians of Wiltshire video. I'm your host Dewey. This week is another Send Forth All Legions, with the specifics on the Return of the King. As the Corsair ships pull into the docks of Harlond, jeers and insults are being shouted at the boats by the Orc garrison that have been awaiting the arrival of their allies from Umbar. However, much to the surprise of the Orcs, no Corsairs can be seen. Instead, a single man, elf and dwarf leap from the ship. As the Orcs scoff at the three foes that now stand against them, Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli begin to charge. As the three hunters sprint towards their orcish enemies that stand between them and the Battle of Pelennor Fields, Aragorn summons the undead hosts to war. The appearance of the army of the dead catches the forces of Mordor completely unaware, the sight of such a terrifying foe causing the Orcs to freeze in terror as the shadowed legions sweep over them before making their way towards the Pelennor in an effort to drive back the hordes of the Dark Lord. Upon the fields of Pelennor, and under the command of the heir of Isildur, the deadliest army in all of Middle-earth will be unleashed upon the forces of Sauron, and they will not cease in their ghost assault until they have made safe the city of Minas Tirith and honoured the oath sworn centuries ago, allowing them finally to be at peace. So, after that synopsis, we'll dive straight into the army list and the army composition. So you have Aragorn Strider, and he can take an elven cloak. You have Legolas Greenleaf, he can take armour or an elven cloak. You have Gimli Son of Gloin, he can take an elven cloak. You have the King of the Dead, and the Herald of the Dead, who can take a shield to finish off the heroes. And then you have a Warrior of the Dead, who can take a banner, a shield or a spear, and a Rider of the Dead. So not that extensive army composition. Definitely enough though. So the additional rules. This army must include both Aragorn Strider and the King of the Dead. Aragorn is always the army's leader. Makes sense? Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli may all lead Warriors of the Dead and Riders of the Dead in this army list. This is great. So you won't just max out at... Well, if you took Heralds of the Dead you could go infinitely, but you would generally take Aragorn and the King of the Dead. So you don't just max out at 30 models, you can take a lot more. And it also gives them some protection. So, special rules. The heir of Isildur. The rightful heir to the throne of Gondor, Aragorn has finally come to fulfill his destiny. Aragorn does not have to pay for Andril, Flame of the West. He automatically has this upgrade. It is free. Amazing. Winning anything on a 4+ is absolutely amazing. The King of the Dead. Having been tormented in an undead state for centuries, the King of the Dead can now unleash his fearsome might upon those that oppose him. The King of the Dead gains the Harbinger of Evil special rule. This is great when your warriors are wounding on courage. Absolutely amazing. It would take most things from 4s to 3s. Any kind of orc is definitely a 3. It's great. Fight for us and regain your honour. Only by fighting alongside the King of Gondor can the dead finally find peace, something they will fight all the harder to possess. Spirit models from this army list count as being in range of a banner if Aragorn is within 6. This is great. Obviously it doesn't affect Aragorn himself, Legolas or Gimli, which can be a bit of a sticking point. But having, especially the King of the Dead, rerolling for a banner is great. So designer's notes. This particular legendary legion represents the force Aragorn brings to the Pelennor in the movies rather than the books, and as such it contains 3 hunters and the army of the dead. The army focuses very much around Aragorn and the King of the Dead, as the dead only venture forth from Dunharrow as a result of the arrival of Aragorn. It also makes sense to include Andor for free, as it the sword Aragorn used to best the King of the Dead in their brief duel in the mountain catacombs. In the films, the arrival of the dead signals the end of the battle of the Pelennor Fields, as they destroy all manner of evil things upon entering the battlefield, and this army list makes the dead a force to be reckoned with. The King of the Dead gains Harbinger of Evil special rule, which makes it easier for his long dead followers to cut through their foes, whilst Aragorn provides all spirit models with a banner to further increase their chances of them winning fights. So yeah, as I said, really cool list. Pretty popular at the moment. Well, since it's come out. I've seen it run a lot, I've seen it do pretty well. If I remember rightly, J. Claire won the 2019 GT with them. I think that's right. So yeah, and it's one of the more frequent armies or legendary legions you'll see. It's really easy to get hold of. That's one of the main reasons why, having some Army of the Dead in the starter box, and then the Plastic 3 Hunters, and the new King of the Dead and Heralds models, you can get on it straight away. So we'll come back in with the hierarchy of heroes. So for the hierarchy, we'll do our normal 450, 600, 750 points. So starting with 450, you have to take the King of the Dead and Aragorn. You're not going to take anyone else. In my list that I'm just looking at, I've got 14 models with those two. It's definitely not worth getting another hero in, especially when your heroes are around the 100 points. It means you're really lacking on warriors and guys to claim objectives, etc. So 600, you have King of the Dead and Aragorn again, and then you have a choice between Legolas or Gimli. It's entirely down to personal preference. If you want someone to get stuck in and kill some more stuff, then Gimli's the best one for it. If you want to snipe off banners and heroes' horses, Legolas is the best one for it. It entirely comes down to playstyle. And then on to 750 points, it's King of the Dead and Aragorn. Then this is my hierarchy of heroes. It goes Legolas, Gimli, Herald of the Dead. I think you don't need the King of the Dead's extra heroic actions of the Herald, because you've got other heroes who can gang with him and are probably better at killing. If the King of the Dead fails to wound, that is. And then I've chosen Legolas over Gimli purely because he can be there to snipe heroes, and I think you can definitely get both of them in if needed. You could swap it around. I'd be interested to see how this list was with a Herald instead of, say, Gimli or Legolas. But I have a feeling the Elf and the Dwarf are definitely the ones to go for. So we'll now move on to the army lists. So, as with all other Legendary Legion videos and the hierarchy of heroes, we'll crack straight in with the 450, 600, 750 points, and we'll dive straight in at 450. So you've got Aragorn with Andril. You then have one Warrior of the Dead with a shield and 5 Warriors of the Dead with shield and spear. You have the King of the Dead, and you have 1 Warrior of the Dead with a shield, 5 Warriors of the Dead with shield and spear. So this has 14 models. It has the banner effect for the spirits. You have 4 might and mighty hero, so you can just heroic march wherever you like. You've got 2 heroic strikes and a heroic march. You have heroic defense on your leader, which is great. You have Drain Soul on the secondary hero, so that's if the King of the Dead causes a wound and it's not saved, the model's automatically removed. All heroes can combat well. All warriors have defense 8, with the majority of them having spears, which is amazing for your heroes. And it means your battle line can fight anywhere. I know people have liked the whole shield in the front, spear in the back. I have heard of people taking purely shield and spear, so their lines are entirely flexible, especially with like warriors and military. Your spirits are winning on courage, and Aragorn has Andril, which is incredible. So most of your army's never wounding on. Well, most of your army is wounding on 4s the majority of the time. Occasionally you'll get to 5s, which will be your elves, or maybe some dwarves with warhorn, that kind of thing. But most of your army is wounding on 4s the majority of the time. So on to 600. Again, Aragorn with Andril. Then I've got 1 Warrior of the Dead with shield, 2 Warriors of the Dead with shield and spear, and 1 Rider of the Dead. Warband 2 is the King of the Dead, with 1 Warrior of the Dead with a shield, 2 Warriors of the Dead with a shield and spear, and 1 Rider of the Dead. And then Warband 3, I've chosen Legolas and I've given him armour, just so we can get a bit more stuck in if needs be. 3 Warriors of the Dead with shield, 3 Warriors of the Dead with shield and spear. So this has 17 models. It has 2 cavalry. It has a banner effect for the spirits. You've got a bow on Legolas. You have 7 might and mighty hero. You have 3 heroic strikes. You've got heroic march, heroic defense on your leader as before. Drain soul on your secondary hero. All heroes can combat well because Legolas isn't a slouch in combat. You've got all warriors of defense 8 because they have shields, which is great for stuff like for opposing heroes, especially if they're like strength 5. And many of them have spears. Spirits are winning on courage, and Aragorn has Andril, as he always will. I think this is a good list. I've chosen Legolas over Gimli for a similar reason I stated earlier, where he can snipe out banners, he can snipe out heroes' horses, he can snipe out people standing on objectives, that kind of thing. I just think he's definitely worth it. So we'll move on to 750. So again, you've got Aragorn with Andril, 1 Warrior of the Dead with a shield, 3 Warriors of the Dead with shield and spear, 1 Rider of the Dead. You have the King of the Dead with 1 Warrior of the Dead with a shield, 3 Warriors of the Dead with shield and spear, and 1 Rider of the Dead. And I've got Legolas with armour. I've got 1 Warrior of the Dead with shield, 3 Warriors of the Dead with shield and spear, and then I've got Gimli, 3 Warriors of the Dead with shield and spear. So this has 21 models, 2 cavalry. It has a banner effect for the spirits. It has a bow on Legolas. It has 10 might and mighty hero, 4 heroic strikes, which is insane. Heroic march, heroic defense on your leader. He has drain soul on the secondary hero. All heroes can combat well. All warriors defense 8 with many spears. There's only 3 warriors that don't, barring the Riders of the Dead. And spirits winning on courage, and Aragorn has Andril. So I've chosen not to include a actual banner. I've gone for like the 4th hero instead. This can be problematic for Legolas, Gimli and Aragorn because they don't get a banner reroll. However, I do think they can hold their own at least. The fact that most of your army causes terror as well is great. This is for all spirits, all spirits within the list. Excuse me. This means that low model count isn't necessarily a problem, because some of them might not be charging you, and if they are, they've got a shaman, then you've got Legolas to try and snipe them out. You've got Aragorn to try and hero combat into them. Even though you're a predominantly foot force, your force can move really quickly because Aragorn can just heroic march every turn. I know the King of the Dead has it as well, but you really want to use his for a heroic strike or combat. It's just a well-rounded force. I've seen people do well with this list. I've seen new players do well with this list as well. So I think it's definitely a friendly list to get started with. I have, you might be able to see kind of just here, lots of Army of the Dead painted, about 50 I think. So it's a list that I will run. I have the plastic 3 hunters. Aragorn is currently painted, he is not on a base though. It's something I'm working on down the line. So that's kind of my thoughts on the army of the Return of the King, Legendary Legion, and essentially the way you run the Warriors of the Dead, because I don't think you'd run them in Den Harrow specifically. I like it, it's good. It can be a little bit of a nightmare to play against. Generally you're going to be outnumbering this list though. They're expensive warrior models, points wise. So if you've liked this video, please comment, like, share and subscribe. They're going to continue every week until I run out of legions, and then there might be other videos in the meantime. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.